Hey there, how's it going? This is Blue over at You Can Blue. Um, Now, what I've got open here is 3ds Max because I'm going to be showing you how to take an asset. In this case, I've built an outside wall that I want in my project over here in my Unreal Engine, and I'm going to obviously make it look realistic using tools and then put it into Unreal Engine. Now, what I need to do for this is obviously have a few things prepared. Now, I have my wall asset here, and if I just hit F3 so you can kind of see how it's made up. Okay, all this is just to kind of show you over here. Okay, this is a wall that is, let me see, I think I had a length of 20, a width of 400 and a height of 800. Okay, and then all I did was, obviously I centered this after converting it to an editable poly. I deleted all the parts that weren't this front polygon here, and then basically just using things like quick slice or swift loop, I basically made some areas where the window would be, you know, and made some areas where this bottom part would be, and just kind of separate it off into what you'd normally see if you were wandering around any form of place that had buildings made round about, what, about between 1890 and 1910, kind of UK style. So thin windows, because glass was expensive, okay, set high up on the wall, older wall and older brick down below with some plaster work over it perhaps, or concrete, fresher brick at the top where it's been slightly better maintained. You've got your windowsill here and your lintel. Obviously your lintel stops bricks dropping down onto your window. Now you don't have to have a sticking out lintel, you could just have a block, but you do have to have it. You can't just really have bricks laying over the top of the window frame. That's not how it works. Now, if we look at what I've done, I've unwrapped this. It's a very, very simple unwrap. Again, this isn't a tutorial on how to make a window. If there is any call for that, then sure, I'll go and do it. But as you can see, I selected these outside parts here and I planar mapped them. Okay, that way any brick texture I apply like this will be even. I've done the same here, so again, brick textures will be even. I've separated out the glass, which is inside these squares, and the window frame here, and then here's the upper and lower lintel. And then down here, where this is, now I'm seeing a little bit of overlap. I think I may have made a slight mistake here, so I want to just have a quick look and see what's happened. So I'm just going to select my edge. I have a nagging suspicion that this is too wide. So I just want to quickly select this. Now it's very easy to manipulate your polygons inside the UV editor. It used to be hideous, but now it isn't. There we go, so you can see now which ones I've got selected, and I'm just going to use my scale tool and I'm going to scale them non-uniform, probably just this way, so bring them in like that, and there we go. You see now separated. Now the reason that I did this originally was because I wanted slightly more volume here and there, so what I'm going to do is just select those, that one and that one, and just bring these a little bit wider. I'll also have to bring the one in at the bottom. Okay, just like so, and that way we'll get an even texture over them, which we wouldn't otherwise have. Okay, so that's it. Now close that down. You can see here I've assigned different colours to this. Now you can paint on your texture yourself. I'm not stopping you from doing that. Do it any way you please. I've explained this before. I'm very, very colourblind, so for me modern tools like Quixel are a godsend. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this and I'm going to go to export, and I'm going to export it into here. Okay, so this is where the new lesson I'm building is, so I've given it a relevant name so I can remember, and I'm just calling it wall part 1 FBX file. Do I want to replace it? Yes, of course I do. Okay, now to render this out, all I did was I took a standard skylight, dropped it in the scene. That flattens all the light. Then with this selected, I pressed 0. Okay, so I've got box 001 selected here, and because I've already got an unwrap, use my existing channel, added a diffuse map. And now I'm not going to set this particularly high because it'll cause problems with the capture. Basically it'll be using too much power. So I'll just click render. Okay, this is 512, 512. I actually use 2048, 2048 and click render. It's not targeting a slot, don't worry about that. Click continue, confirm file overwrite, yeah, overwrite it, doesn't matter. So there you can get, there you see it's completely flat, all these colours now, okay. So we have upper wall, lower wall, the concrete stanchion, we have the wooden window frame, and the upper and lower sill. And this is the only things that we're going to need to texture. And again, you could texture this yourself if you really wanted to. You could even just assign textures, you know, from the standard ones that come with Unreal Engine if you don't want to use the tools I'm going to be using. And what I did was I saved that off into my file here. Now I split the alpha, I really shouldn't have bothered, but I've got my alpha, I've got my wall color map, and I've got my wall part, and that's all I need to get started. So what I'm going to do next is I am going to pull up Photoshop. Here it is. And inside Photoshop you can see my little window here. If you haven't got this already, this is Quixel from quixel.se. I've been using Quixel now on and off for quite a few years since, you know, NDO1 first came out. I've now got a full suite license for NDO1 and 2, which I paid for myself, so they're not paying for me to advertise this. And I bought this because, as a colourblind person, I find it phenomenally useful. You'll see why in just a minute. Okay, so what I'm going to use is I'm going to use DDO. Now I'm using an older version of Photoshop because I bought it and I don't want to use like this pay-per-month one, so it's entirely up to you. It will work with it. And I'm just going to hit DDO. And what that will do is it'll load up my interface on the left. Now DDO does not do everything for you. You are going to have to do some stuff. So first I'm going to drag my mesh. Okay, so load my mesh, sorry. So just click on that. There's wall part. And then I need my material ID. Now, if you're a clever onion, what you can do is you can actually have the colours in your colour map match up to a predefined set of colour IDs, and it will automatically generate your stuff. I don't have that because I can't remember colours, it's part of who I am. Doesn't matter though, it's easy. So I'm just going to click open. There we go, and that's our map there. Now everything's pretty much done. I've got ID preset for weather materials, but really it's kind of inconsequential at this point. I've got my channel saved up, so I'm actually saving everything in there. I've got my export target as UE4, so I've got metalness workflow. I don't need a normal, I'm just going to make my art and go from there. Now, this will take a moment and it might cause the video to skip. If it does, I apologise. Let's just watch it go. Now, I'm using an older version of Photoshop, so it will ask me if I want to keep my layers for what it thinks is a blank map. I'm just going to keep my layers. Let it do its stuff. Come on, you can do this. It does take a little while, especially if I'm recording in the background, because it won't like that. I can see it's generating the maps over here. If I just open this out, so you can see we've now got the wall colour map, and in here where it says wall parts, we've got our various folders, which it's going to start putting things into. What I might do is just pause the... So, for you guys obviously who missed out because this is the recording, all I did was I paused my recording software simply just to allow more resources to come across and let this do its thing. Now you're looking at this and you think, well, not a lot's happened there. Lots happened here. Okay, Quixel, mad complex. You know, full kudos to Teddy and the rest of the team. It's amazing work. So I've just hit the little button there that has a 3 on it, okay, and this will do our preview. So it's going to initialize 3DO. Again, remember I'm recording, so it will take a moment. I could probably do with some sort of new capture card really when it comes down to it. But, you know, such is life. wait for it. You can do this. Hopefully. Might pause my recording. Okay, I've turned on the recording again because it looks like we're getting somewhere. There we go, there it is. Okay, like I say, it uses a lot of resources, this thing. Now, I'm going to hold down Alt and move my mouse button, and there is my wall from earlier. And you probably think to yourself, well, seems like quite a lot of effort for not a lot. You're wrong. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start putting some bricks in. So all I've done is I've just hit this little circle here, add material, and this brings up this lot. And I want some old brick, and I can just see it straight away there, okay? So I'm going to click Create. Now, if you remember all the masking, well, all the colour IDs we've done, we're going to use those as masks, okay? So first thing it's done, it's gone and generated all the maps we need for this brick and created these enormous chunky bricks. So I'm going to right click where it says brick old, mask layer to ID, and then I'm going to, come on you can do it. It does take a little while when I'm recording. I'm going to assign that to the bottom part of the wall because that's going to be the roughest part in my opinion. So just apply it there. What it'll do now is it'll mask off just the bottom part of the wall. Okay, like that. And click Done. Oh, I see, I didn't rebuild my my map in good old 3DS. I tell you what, I should probably do that again. But I'm not going to. Solid. A mistake's a mistake, and I should stand by it. So I'm going to click Done. Okay, next I'm going to change my scale to about -2. Reason being, these bricks are way too big. It looks like it's made out of slabs. So dropping the scale down to -2 will give us a much more realistic amount of bricks on here. Okay. Next, I want some newer bricks. So I'm just going to click here, and here we are, Brick Smooth. Click Create. And they're going to go in the top half. Now remember, if I'd exported this with the repaired blue bit here, okay, we wouldn't have that quite so wide patch, but it doesn't matter too much to me. Now, for the top part, I'm going to change the scale again, so just drag it down to maybe -2. And this time I'll mask it afterwards, so give it a second. Right click, brick top window, look. And mask layer to ID. And we can do this additive, so we can put things over other things and the underlying kind of normal maps and everything will still take effect. So I'm just going to put this on the top half. FAFFF. Faffaf. Lovely. Okay, click Done. So now we have two different types of brick here. And again, using the same -2. And the good thing is that these are going to tile nicely. Now, next I want to add the wood. Now for the wood I need to do two different things here. So I'm going to look for wood, and I'm going to put this bare wood on, just there. Just click Create. And I want a very, very simple kind of wood on this. So everything turns wood, as you can see, but we've got the underlying brick pattern. I am going to right click and mask my layer to an ID. Then wait patiently. I do apologise that YCB has not been getting as much stuff recently. We've had a fair few problems. Not with YCB, but kind of personal things that have had to be dealt with. So it's nice to be doing things again. Okay, I'm going to change the scale on this again to -2 because that seems to be what we're working with. Okay, and that will obviously scale down the wood over here. And I'm going to put a smart material over the top of this one. So I'm going to hit here where it says Add Smart Material. And I'm going to look for a nice paint. So we should have some paint knocking around. Just do a quick search. There we go. And try and find a nice paint that will do for me. So I want a chunky looking white. And I don't want a container. Scratched thick painted steel. Well, that's no good, is it? Wood. Here we go. Painted wood. There, that one. Worn and painted. Create. And I'm going to apply the worn painted wood now to the window frame over the top of the existing one so that we get the underlying normals. I mean, you know, you may not get close enough to see it, but we're going to have it anyway. Come on, you can do it. Doesn't take too long. There we go, so as you see it's now covered everything. And you've got all these different options that we can adjust. Cavity dirt, paint, edge wear, wood base. I'm going to keep them as they are and just press the little back arrow. And then over here I'm going to mask the entire lot again. Just over the top of the wood. So I just pull up my ID. I mean, it has to rewrite all of these high detail PSDs, so as you can imagine that's going to take a little bit of time and a little bit of writing. Okay, finalise it again. The thing is, it gives you such a lovely result. I mean, it makes sense to do it. Click done. Okay, so now you can see we've got this kind of thing going on over here, and I can just maybe reduce the opacity down to about 75, 76. I'll have to do a little bit of recalculating, but not a lot. Okay, next I want to put in the concrete for the upper and lower lintel. So add material and concrete. Okay, and there's some nice old dirty looking concrete knocking around. Let's see what we've got. You don't want polished for certain. Put some masks there. I think this one. Okay, that's the kind of concrete that it would be created out of, just cast. Big old slabs. There we go. Let's have a quick look at this. Yeah, that's okay. Right, concrete. And the concrete's just going to be for the top and bottom of those, and maybe for this bit, we're not sure yet. So concrete, mask layer to ID. I may use rougher concrete or even a kind of a plaster or stucco or something. I'll see. Okay, and for that we've got the reds. There we go, and click done. And again, scale it to about -2. Come back here, Ian, come on, back. And I'll give it a chance to refresh. There. Okay, because we don't want these big blocks on here. We want it quite small by comparison. And then we won't see quite as much of the stretching that's already been done. Now we have the bottom part here, so I'm going to add a nice piece to that, and we're going to have rough concrete. So that'll be construction again, and we're going to have concrete cracked. Create. Okay, and I'm going to obviously mask that as well. So I'll just let it finish doing its autosave. Right click, mask layer to IDs. I mean, it's a good way of making, just building up, getting these layers on there, you know, just slowly, being non-destructive, just adding them in. Okay, did not add it correctly, do it again. Doop, doop, doop. The only problem with this is it can be a teeny bit slow. It's not, it's one of those things where, you know, you should make yourself a cup of coffee or get yourself like something cold to drink and just relax. Obviously try and get as much reference as you can, even if it's just going outside and looking at your own wall. Do that. Walk up the street, pay attention to things, you know. Okay, click done. And now I'm going to obviously change the scale on this again, because that scale's too high, too loose. We want cracks, dirt and waste coming in from it. Okay, let's have a look at that. Not bad. Now we don't have any glass in the window, so glass is basically require me to use the smart material. And I'm going to go over here to glass, or glass, depending on how you say it. And I just want dirty. Okay, I don't want it to be anything we can see through, because then I've got to build something behind it. Okay, I'm probably not going to have it lit. If I do want it lit though, all I've got to do is make an emissive, which means just using basically these 8 panels, having them in kind of a lightish colour and using that to control the emission of light in a material. So it's not difficult. Okay, so as you can see, it's done everything again. Oh, that's cool. I'm going to go back, just over to here, and where it says dirty glass, I'm going to master layer to ID. Okay, and that will mask all the sub layers underneath it as well. Derp, derp, derp. Okay, and I'm going to select these black ones. So, again, as you see, it'll just mask those out. Anything else that was black, it'll also take. I think this is black. It could just be a very dark grey. Can't really remember. Okay, click done. It's best to have one that isn't really black for your glass. That way it doesn't mix in with the background, just in case you've got some mapping errors. Okay, it looks like we've got that going okay. I'm just going to go into the dirty glass group. Just double click on it. And I'm going to change the scale for everything to -2 wherever possible. Because I've got the standard scale at -2, I may as well keep it. And glass I'll change to -1. There we go. It'll give it just a minute to write it. Now the only other thing I need to really even consider doing on this is maybe add just a dirt layer that we can see. So, oh, pardon me. I'm just going to come back over to here, and I can just go into weathering, and then, sorry, smart materials, and then just come down. Now there's legacy materials in here for weathering. So legacy means old. I don't really want top gunk. There's lots of options here for what it could have. Wear and tear, for example, is quite a good one. Do create. And what it will do is it will apply this over the top of it, over the top of everything, and then we can look at it and kind of see what we think. Dear me, I do apologise. Being busy today, which isn't a bad thing. Come on, you can do it. There we go. There's the metalness coming. There's the normal map, and it's done. Ah, nice actually, I like that. So as you can see, what it's done is basically applied more wear and more dirt, and then given us the clean edges there, which is kind of nice. That's actually exactly what I wanted, so I'm really pleased with that. Okay, so now we have this finished wall partition just here. Okay, now I can save all this if I so desire. What I'm going to do as well is I could change the shading if you want to see how it looks in different ways and all this thing. I'm not going to at the minute, so I'll just close that down. And if you want to, you can have a look at your different maps. Okay, so obviously this is our albedo, and then you've got your metalness and your roughness and stuff. Okay, now I am going to go over to this little button here, I think it is, open the exporter, because I would like this exported for oh, what's it called again? Unreal Engine. So I'm going to call it my UE4 modular wall 01. Okay, and I'm exporting it to Unreal Engine 4. It's going to be a target. It's saving it in this new folder. I'll rename that probably in a minute, and I'm going to export all materials. Right, give it a minute, and it will now export everything. Done. Okay, I'm going to open up my folder and just have a look. So there's my wall part, some bakes, there's my previewer, Yeah, I can see you finished. Well done. Okay, now just check where it exported to. Oh, I see, it's exported to a different folder by mistake, so that's okay. What I can do is just get the lot. Okay, and I'm going to just put it into my secondary. Here we go. So this is all here, and I'm going to just cut it. Then come back to here, and then I'm going to call this Final Asset Wall Modular 01 Control V. Okay, so that's everything in there. So basically, these are maps that we're going to use now in order to build it inside of Unreal Engine. So if you want to see what that looks like, just stay put, and I shall do that. Now I'm going to close this, and by closing this, okay, it'll obviously close all the maps, so it's saving all and closing it. There we go, and then I'll close Quixel. Always close Quixel first. Now I'm going to my Epic Games Launcher, Library, and I want my Workshop 2 in version 4.15. And it'll take a few to load. Not too long, but just a couple. But this is obviously where I've been doing a lot of my work, and so I want to kind of see how it's going to be inside this. One of the issues, I suppose, with kind of broadcasting live, because this is going out on Twitch at the same time, is of course that you know, there is no pause really when you're streaming stuff, and I'm kind of at the mercy of the Unreal Engine loading up, so I do apologise that about a minute of this lesson is going to be me loading Unreal Engine and my Workshop 2. Anyway, let's keep it going. On the plus side, you can see some of the things I've got down here. Active Ragdoll, I never use. Advanced Vehicle Kit, I also never use. Or Bumping Pub. Weird really, isn't it? Right, here we go. So I'm going to go back to Content, just here. And this is kind of where, obviously, we started. Okay, this is our basic first-person map. Now I'm going to go into YCB Assets, and I'm going to move my entire browser into this bottom pane here, because I like having this, even if it is kind of old television size. Okay, now I'm in YCB Assets, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to install my wall asset. So I'm just going to create a folder. Wall asset 400 x 800 windowed. Okay, always give it a description, and now we know what it is. Now inside this, I'm going to drag wall part and these things. Okay, I notice it's baked into the same area as my test sign rather amusingly. Okay, I'm just wait for Unreal Engine to do its thing. It's importing it now. Go on you, off you go. Okay, and import. Done. And Control S, I'm just saving it off. And as you see, it's made, well, some very helpful little textures there, hasn't it? Well, materials rather, materials. Right, so let's have a look at this wall. It's just compiling the shaders now. While it's doing that, I'll bring the wall up. And as you can see, it's basically made these simple colours that we already had on here. Now, I know there's some errors on this, okay? I'd be remiss if I didn't point out that yes, there are errors on this, but 'tis the way she blows. Okay. Now, what I could really do with is having this brought in without all these different material IDs and stuff on it as well. I can do that. So what I'm going to do is just delete these, like so. Go on, off with you. There we are. Now I've just got these four and this. So I'll Control S. And I'm just going to create a very, very simple material at the minute. I'll show you how to create more complicated materials soon. This is UE4 modular wall 01 matte. Okay, and the simplest way, just to kind of plug all this junk together, is just to, let's see, grab our albedo, and so our albedo straight to the base color, and then going to grab our normal, and put our normal into, come back here, the normal map, like so, and then our metallic. I mean, it does tell you where things go, which is kind of useful. And this is the very, very basic way of putting things together, like I say. I mean, I've covered before in other lessons how to make much more complicated kind of materials, like really customizable ones. And we can do the same with this, but let's just get the wall built first. And roughness. I mean, we don't even have tessellation on this one, and frankly, we don't really need it. Yeah, just really drag our material down, dropping that kind of thing onto it. So there we go, there's our roughness. Now if I just put it like that, you can kind of see obviously how the light's affecting different parts of it, and save. Now because of the way the material was made, which was the obviously different ID maps on the material, it's expecting like 5 different materials to go onto it. We're not going to give it 5 different materials because that's just greedy. Actually, I think it could be even more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, just 5 materials. Yeah, it doesn't need 5. So what we can do is just start tossing these on like this, and it'll still work, bizarrely enough. There, like that. Now, like I say, there is an error in this simply because it's my fault. I throw my hands up to it, but I didn't quite finish exporting the one that I showed you at the very beginning. Okay, so that's why we've got this extra wide kind of batten at the bottom here. Okay, but that happens. Now I'm going to click save. That way all parts obviously saved. Let's look at our collision mesh. And I'm just going to add a box simplified collision to that and save, and that way we can't walk through this. Okay, and then all I have to do is get our wall part, which is just here, and I can pop it there like so. And if I've got this on 50 snaps, haven't I? So I can hold down Alt. Actually, no, snap turned on and just, there we go. Okay, like that. Now if I come in, just have a quick look at it. Okay, so we can see now that its job is to be a boundary wall, okay, and I think it's going to be doing its job pretty fine. I might bring in the one that I actually modified that I was supposed to be using, but I shall see. If I open, and I do apologise by the way, it's getting a little bit messy in my assets now because I brought over a few different things into it. But if we just go to Workbench 2, which is just here, I'm not going to save the first map. There we are. So here we can see the work that's been going on with the workbench. Now down here, this is a new area of the workbench that I built. I didn't think you'd really be that bothered on me showing you how to build this part of the workbench, so it just didn't happen. But basically, it's just a corridor that came off here, and I stuck some more lights in it. Now if I go to unlit, sometimes that's the best place to be. And where these parts here are, I'm going to go into my YCB assets, wall assets, just select my wall asset, right click and just replace it. So I should be able to just replace current actor with that. It's not quite in the right place, but that's okay. We can get it there. Okay, and then another one here and here. So we can see, if I just right click on this and Finding content browser, there it is. SM hallway 600. Okay, so this is 300 by 312. My one's 400. Okay, so if I want it to be the same scale as this, then I'm going to have to reduce it by a third, which means that I'll probably have to have this at a scale of about 66.6 recurring, or 0.66, like that. And if I do that, then you can see that obviously it's going to fit into what we're doing slightly better. Just get this one out of the way and that one out of the way. There we go. Turn that on. Now the problem with that is, of course, that the whole moving part is reliant on the actual scale of the object. So I'll just bring that up to 1 again. There we go. Select both these. Let's move them into the correct area. Should be about there. Now I'm going to need to build some proper outdoor pillars to kind of connect these, and some top parts. But for the moment you're kind of seeing what's happening, I think, and hopefully getting the idea of it. What I might do is go back and rebuild these as 300 by 300s, or certainly rescale them inside of 3ds Max for the time being, just so they're the correct size. But this is just kind of so you get an idea. I don't know why, but for some reason I thought it was 400 by 400. So if I play from here, it's unlit, so you can't really see it too well. But if I just bring in a, let me see, place actor, just a simple point should do it. Change this to lit. Okay, right click, play from here. Okay, and the only other thing that I'd probably want to put in is a band of concrete just about there, okay? And also probably reduce like the glossiness of the bricks, because they do look a little bit wet. But that's probably all I'd do. So if I just come out of this again, I'm not going to bother saving this. There we go. And if I come over to my 3ds Max, where obviously I did the work earlier, and I want to put in a concrete kind of area just there. So let's grab this and just quickly looking at it. It's going to collapse this a moment. So convert to editable poly, swift loop, and it doesn't need to be a big section, so maybe about that big, like so. And then I'm going to select these like that, go into my material, and I'm going to apply this red, which is for concrete, just to that part of the selection there. Okay. I may need to go back and reapply the other materials as well, we shall see. Anyway, I love when 3ds Max decides to throw a fit. Anyway, that is the, pull that back up again, basics of how I built my wall in 3ds Max and then quicksiled it into Unreal Engine. Like I say, the only thing I am going to do is rescale this, because at the minute the scale's too high, and I'm going to have to bring it down to 300 instead of obviously 400 across, which it currently is now. A couple of ways of doing that. One, I can scale it, or two, I can just build a new cage like this and assume that it's going to be a length of 300, a width of 20, and a height of 300. Just change that again. 600. Yeah. And then all I have to do really is I could just use an FFD to just map it onto this, or, you know, just move it manually. It's not particularly difficult. Anyway, I'll leave it up to you how you decide to do that. Now, I shall see you in the next one. It's been a little while, and I'm looking forward to doing some building. So until then, TTFN.